Hi everyone, how you doing? My name's Coby. This is kind of a bit of an ad hoc talk, so please forgive me. What I'm going to talk to you is just a few of the popular mobile web frameworks that I've been playing around with a little bit recently. The three I'm going to talk about is Jqtouch, which is this one which I've just loaded up to start with, Jquery Mobile, and also another one called Sencha Touch. Has anyone here worked with these before? Nobody? One? Cool. Had a little bit of exposure? Cool. I don't profess to be an expert in this, so I'm just kind of throwing out there my experience with it. So, Jqtouch, I'll just put this up here as well, hold on. So this is the web page for it. It's basically, it's based on Jquery itself, so you need to include Jquery in it. But the way this is all done, this is a recording that I've put up there. The way this is all done is essentially one big HTML file with individual divs for each pane of the application. So this is a web site done with a mobile framework. It's not actually, none of these are actually native apps, but that you can actually get them looking very, very much like a native app, and you can add them to the home screen and all sorts of things to make them work just like a native app. So you can preview it if you've got Chrome or a WebKit browser, and you can actually preview the whole site as it would be on mobile. But you can also use an iOS simulator, which I'm going to do as well. So I'll give you a quick demo of Jqtouch.
It's done in Jquery.
Sorry?
It's done in Jquery.
This is done in Jquery. I'll show you the source in a second. So this whole interface here with the animations, lists, all these sorts of things is all done straight in Jquery, and it's just one big HTML file delivered to the client. So you can actually code a whole thing with external links, for example, and it'll take you in the browser to a new page, to another page, for example. And this whole thing can just be done straight in Jquery. I'll show you the source for it anyway.
Does it respond to phone orientation, like we turn it around?
Yes, it does. Give me a second. So it flips. Oops, that's a bit of the iOS simulator looks like it didn't handle that very well, but the actual framework itself does respond to orientation. So there's quite a bit of ability for it to integrate with the native functionality of the phone for that very reason. You can do Ajax with it. You can do all the common animations between panes and things like that. It's very easy to do, and it's all just done straight in the source. There's not actually anything else you need to generate for it. You can do there's forms with all sorts of buttons and stuff. It's all integrated with the native keyboard and stuff. Toggles to make it look exactly like what people are used to with native apps. So here's a source. This is the source for the example. So you can see here that the first thing they've done is include jQuery. They've also included some CSS files for the theme, and you can actually it comes with a few different themes that you can just whack straight in there, or you can develop your own if you want. And then for each pane, there is there's just some of the code that they've set up for examples. For each pane, there's a div. So see where it says div about, selectable? You can put different classes into the divs which give the pane certain behaviors, and then it's all just straight HTML. So that about pane there, you've got the Jqtouch logo, some text, and a couple of links. That corresponds directly to this about pane here. The Jqtouch logo, some text, and a link. So what this does is it means you can very quickly create a very close to what a native interface looks like with just HTML and jQuery. And if you then go and tap bookmarks, add the home screen, it turns up like a native app on the person's home screen on iOS. Most of these frameworks work very, very well as well in BlackBerry and RIM and Android and all sorts of other devices, and they've all got their own individual compatibility charts and things like that. So the next one I'll show you is Sencha Touch, which is This is actually based on a technology called Ext.js or EXTJS, which some of you may or may not have heard of. This is very similar. It is designed to work very similarly on BlackBerry as well as iOS and Android. So they're really focused on the cross-device compatibility. It's all HTML5, and you can see here they've even got enhanced touch stuff. So it's not just taps. This framework will actually handle multi-touch gestures as well, and quite a few other very complicated things. So I'll show you an example of this. Which one is it? So this is their kitchen sink, which is basically their example of everything. Again, it's just a web page. You can test it out if you've got devices on here. You can whack it in if you already have. I don't know too much about how much it does with the camera, but I'm sure there's a way of integrating it. HTML5 will eventually support a lot of integration with native device capabilities. So as that becomes more stable, I'm sure they'll want to add it to this sort of stuff. So this one's very similar. I actually think this is a much better interface. An example, I'll just switch this to iPad so you can see what it looks like. It actually allows for different layouts on iPhones and iPads. So, for example, this one here, if you're used to using an iPad, you often have like an app pane on the left-hand side and then a main pane on the right-hand side. If I flip this to the left, you'll see that this one actually has that native kind of look to it in the iPad thing, where you've got this drop down here. Or if you flip it to portrait orientation, that same sidebar becomes a drop down, like so. And again, this is all just delivered straight as one file. The difference here, though, is that this is actually all coded in JavaScript itself, in the EXTJS language itself. It's its own kind of little JavaScript way of coding all these different panes. Now, I'll quickly show you the last one, Jquery Mobile, because I don't have much longer to go. Jquery Mobile is very similar to, sorry, the screen's not very big, but it's basically jQuery's version of this project. So again, this is much more integrated with jQuery if that's what you're using. Similar to the Jqtouch one, but I actually don't like the transitions in this one. For example, in the where is it here? There we go. The transitions for this kind of are a little jumpy, I found a little bit. So for example, if you view something and then scroll down in the features thing, oops, you scroll down and then it's not something that's long enough. So if you scroll down, for example, and then go to another link, it actually kind of jumps back to the top first and then flicks over. So the transitions aren't quite as smooth. So I'm sure they're trying to iron that out. But anyway, that's time. So I hope you enjoyed that. There's a quick overview of some web frameworks for mobile.